In this video lesson, we will be factoring trinomials, okay? Trinomials are written in standard form as ax squared plus bx plus c. And when you factor a trinomial, you are going to end up with two binomials, okay? The factors of trinomials are the binomials. Now, the strategy that we use to determine the factors of a trinomial is we use the X game. Remember the X game, we have a number at the top and a number at the bottom. We're looking for the multiples of the numbers at the top that equal, or whose sum is equal to the number on the bottom, okay? But where do we get the number on the top and where do we get the number on the bottom, okay? Well, that is from this, from the standard form here, ax squared plus bx plus c. The a is the coefficient of x squared, the b is the coefficient of x, and c is a constant, okay? Now, the number on the top is a times c. Well, and in this first lesson, a is always going to be equal to 1. Well, if you multiply 1 times c, you really just end up with c. So for this first lesson, our number at the top is just going to be c. So if that's the case, then let's take a look at this one here. And it is x squared plus 8x plus 15. So again, we're going to use the X game to help us to determine the factors. So we're going to put the 15 at the top, and we're going to put the 8 at the bottom here where we see b. So then we are looking for two numbers that multiply to equal 15. And these two numbers combine to get positive 8. All right, so we could put our plus sign here. They both get positive 8. And if you think about the multiples of 15 that equal 8, well, the multiples of 15 are 1 times 15 and 3 times 5. Well, 3 times 5 equals 15, and 3 plus 5 equals 8. So our answer then, well, not our answer, but our factors that we use are going to be 3 and 5. Well, when we go back here and we factor this trinomial, then we simply write x plus 3 times x plus the other factor, x plus 5. All right? And then that becomes your answer. If you were to work this out using the box method, you would end up with x squared plus 8x plus 15. All right, let's do some examples together. All right, here is a practice problem. X squared plus 7x plus 10. And we want to factor this trinomial. Again, we're going to use the X game to help us out, okay? And the number at the top is a times c. This is 1 times 10, or today it's in this lesson it's just c, which is 10. So we're trying to equal 10, and the number at the bottom is the b, which is the 7. So we're just going to write 7. Okay, so what are the numbers that multiply to equal 10 and add up to equal 7? Well, the factors of 10 are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. And 2 and 5 equal 7. So we would put 2 and 5. And then those are the numbers we use with x. So x plus 2 is one of our factors, and x plus 5 is our other factor, or our binomials, okay? So it's a binomial times a binomial. We've factored this trinomial into these two factors, all right? Another example, okay? You'll notice that this one is different because we have, instead of 2 plus signs here, we have 2 negatives. All right, it's x squared minus 2x minus 24. Again, we're going to use the x game to help us. All right, at the top is always a times c, or in today's lesson, since a is always equal to 1, it's just c. Now this is a negative 24. So we're going to write negative 24 in the top. And then the bottom is going to be the b, which is the coefficient in front of x, and that's a negative 2. So here we're writing negative 2. So we're looking for the factors of negative 24 that equal negative 2. Well, the factors of 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, which do not combine to 2, and then 3 times 8. 8 and 3 does not equal 2. And 4 times 6. Well, 4 and 6 can be used to equal 2. But think about 4 times 6. Let me just write those numbers up here. If you multiply 4 times 6, you do get 24, okay? But you need them to create a negative 24. That means with the rules of integers, one of them has to be positive and one of them has to be negative. Well, when you combine them, you want it to equal negative 2. So, therefore, if you have a negative 6 and you add 4, you would get negative 2. Or you could say 4 minus 6 gives you negative 2. So what we have then is we're going to need our larger number to be negative, because our answer is going to have to be a negative 2. So it's going to be negative 6 and positive 4. When you multiply negative 6 times positive 4, you get negative 24. And when you add or combine negative 6 and 4, you get negative 2. So your answer then, or your factors of x squared minus 2x minus 24 are x minus 6 and x plus 4. And you multiply those. If you were to multiply that binomial times binomial, you would get x squared minus 2x plus 24. All right, one more example. This one is x squared plus 7x minus 18. So we had an example with 2 positives. We had an example with 2 negatives. Now we have a plus and a negative. Okay, we're going to use our x game to help us as always. Remember, at the top number is always a times c, or 1 times negative 18, which is negative 18. All right, so negative 18. And then the bottom number here is always the b, which in this example is 7. So I'm just going to write 7. And again, we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to get negative 18 and combine or add together to get 7. All right. The multiples of 18, if you wanted to write those out, it would be 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3 times 6. If you look at these, 1 and 18 cannot be combined to get 7. 3 and 6 cannot combine to get 7, but 2 and 9 will combine to get 7. You just have to determine which one's positive and which one's negative, because when you multiply them, it has to be a negative 18. Well, if you need to end up with 7 negatives, then you're going to need your 9 to be positive and your 2 to be negative. So we would have 9 times negative 2. because 9 minus 2 equals 7, and 9 times negative 2 equals negative 18. So then your answer is x plus 9, x minus 2. All right, so that is a look at factoring trinomials. Please join us with the live session, and we will continue to get some practice on factoring trinomials.